The finale of The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 didn't just close a chapter at Shattered Hearts, tested loyalties, and left us questioning everything we thought we knew about Belly's choices. Episode 10 is not just an ending. Storm of emotions where every look, every word, and every silence carries the weight of 3 summers' worth of love, loss, and longing. Asterisk before we dive deep into the finale itself. It's important to look back at how we even arrived at this moment of heartbreak and revelation. Season 3 wasn't just about beach houses and summer nights. It was about the unraveling of relationships that once felt unshakable. Not just with love, but with the memories and promises tied to them. From the very start of the season, Conrad's distance grew heavier. His grief, his silence, and his walls were not just barriers between him and Belly, they were reminders of how much pain still lingered in his world. And then there was Jeremiah, who offered her comfort, lightness, and the kind of affection that seemed simpler. Yet, as we saw unfold, nothing about this triangle was ever simple. Every stolen glance, every argument, every small moment of kindness carried the weight of decisions that could never be undone. Meanwhile, Belly herself struggled to grow into the person she wanted to be. She was no longer the girl standing on the sidelines of her own story. In Season 3, she was forced to make choices messy, complicated, and at times painful ones that would not only define her relationships, but also shape her identity. Every summer had been building to this, the laughter and the heartbreak, the dancing and the fights, the promises whispered in the dark hall of it converged here. And let's not forget the backdrop. Susanna's absence loomed over every episode, reminding all of them that summers at Cousins would never feel the same again. Her memory wasn't just in the photos on the walls or in the words people refused to say, lived in the tension between the brothers. In Belly's grief, and in the way every character seemed to cling a little tighter to the past while trying to move forward. By the time we reach episode 10, the stage is set. A girl torn between 2 loves, 2 brothers at odds with each other, and a summer house that feels more like a battlefield than a home. What happens next doesn't just decide who ends up with who, it decides what kind of person Belly will become when the summer finally ends. Asterisk episode 10 begins not with fireworks, but with silence, the kind of silence that says more than words ever could. The summer house, once alive with laughter and the hum of family dinners, feels different now. The light that pours in through the windows feels colder, heavier, as though it knows this is the last time things will ever be the same. From the first frame, the episode whispers one truth. This is an ending disguised as a beginning. We watch Belly walk through the house. Every step feels like a memory echoing back at her. She's torn, and the audience feels it too. Conrad lingers in her mind, a presence that is both comforting and suffocating, while Jeremiah waits in the wings, offering a love that is warm, steady, and present. The tension builds slowly, not through shouting, but through the way characters avoid each other's eyes, the way their voices crack when they try to sound strong. The first major turning point comes in a conversation that doesn't scream, but instead cuts with quiet honesty. When Belly faces Conrad, it isn't the passionate reunion fans may have wished for. It's fragile, messy, filled with half-said truths. His words carry the weight of years, and hers tremble with the fear of choosing wrong. The heartbreak of this moment lies not in rejection, but in the unspoken understanding that love, sometimes, isn't enough to bridge to broken people. Then comes Jeremiah's scenes contrast sharply. It's filled with warmth and an energy that makes Belly smile even when she doesn't want to. He doesn't try to fix her or make grand declarations. Instead, he's there in the present, grounding her when the storm of Conrad threatens to pull her under. It's not about who loves her more, but about who sees her for who she is becoming. As the episode unfolds, the brothers clash in subtle but powerful ways. There are no physical fights, no dramatic explosions. Instead, the tension is sharper in the pauses, in the way they stand apart. In the quiet jealousy that burns brighter than words, each of them knows that after this summer, nothing will ever be the same between them, not as brothers, not as friends, not as a family. The final act of the episode crescendos with a decision that feels both inevitable and devastating. Belly's choice isn't about romance alone, it's about survival, about stepping into a version of herself that refuses to stay frozen in grief or indecision. The last scenes are bathed in a golden sunset, a cruel reminder that even the most beautiful days must end. And as the credits roll, we're left with more than just a cliffhanger. We're left with the ache of knowing that growing up often means breaking hearts, including your own. In episode 10, the characters don't just speak their lines, they bleed them. Every choice, every glance, every hesitation reveals who they are at their core. And the truth is, none of them leave this episode unchanged. Belly is the heart of the storm. For 3 summers, she's been defined by how others saw her. Conrad's dream, Jeremiah's comfort, Susanna's daughter-like figure. But here, she finally becomes something more, someone who chooses not because she's pressured, but because she's ready. What makes her arc so powerful in this finale is that her decision isn't simply between 2 brothers. It's between the girl she used to be and the woman she is becoming. Belly isn't naive anymore. She carries the weight of grief, the sting of rejection, and the courage to walk into the unknown. Her character in this episode teaches us that love isn't always about intensity, it's about clarity, Conrad. On the other hand, is the tragedy of silence. He is love that burns too deeply to be safe, grief that lingers too long to let him breathe. In episode 10, Conrad is not the boy from summers past, laughing in the pool and whispering secrets by the dock. He's a young man caught in the shadow of loss, too scared to fully hold on, too wounded to fully let go. What makes his arc heartbreaking is that his love for Belly is undeniable, but love alone cannot undo the walls he's built around himself. This finale shows us that sometimes the most painful kind of love is the one that comes too late. Jeremiah emerges as the anchor. For seasons, he's been seen as the lighter choice, the one who smiled easily and loved openly. But in this finale, we see the strength behind that softness. Jeremiah is love without conditions. He is the one who stays, who shows up, who doesn't make Belly feel like a burden she has to carry. His arc in this episode isn't about winning, it's about proving that being present, being steady, is sometimes the most radical kind of love. Through him, we see that stability can be just as powerful as passion. Even the secondary characters echo these themes. Laurel, Belly's mother, represents the resilience of moving forward after heartbreak. Stephen, her brother, embodies the protective love of family, often saying what others are too afraid to voice. Together, they remind us that love stories don't exist in a vacuum, they ripple through families, friendships, and futures. By the end of episode 10, each character is left standing. In the aftermath of choices that can't be undone, Belly is no longer just the girl who turned pretty one summer, she's the girl who grew up. Conrad is no longer the dream, he's the heartbreak. Jeremiah isn't just the safe choice, he's the choice of today, of presence, of possibility. And that's what makes this finale unforgettable. It doesn't give us perfect characters, it gives us human ones. Asterisk at its core, episode 10 isn't just about who Belly chooses, it's about what growing up costs. The finale paints summer not as an endless season of warmth, but as a metaphor for youth itself, beautiful, fleeting, and impossible to hold on to forever. Every sunset in this episode feels symbolic, a reminder that the glow of childhood can only last so long before the darkness of adulthood sets in. The theme of love versus loyalty runs like a quiet undercurrent throughout the finale. Belly loves Conrad deeply, painfully, in a way that almost feels inevitable. But Jeremiah offers her something Conrad cannot, loyalty that is steady, present, and unshaken by grief. This choice forces her, and us, to ask, is love about intensity, or is it about consistency? The episode doesn't give an easy answer, it simply shows us the cost of whichever path you take. There's also the unshakable presence of grief, even. When unspoken, Susanna lingers in every frame. Her absence is a ghost, shaping how the boys fight, how Belly hesitates, how every room in the house feels heavier, symbolically. She is the summer, and the summer I turned pretty, the warmth that once held everything together. Without her, the season feels fragile, like it could collapse at any second when it comes to the ending itself. The final scenes are not written to please, they're written to sting. Belly's decision is clear, but the pain of it is just as sharp as the relief. Choosing Jeremiah is less about rejecting Conrad and more about rejecting the version of herself that waited for someone who couldn't meet her halfway. It's a quiet act of courage, a step toward a future she can build rather than a dream she has to chase. And then there's Conrad's final moment. His silence at the end speaks louder than any declaration of love ever could. It's the silence of a boy who realizes that sometimes love isn't enough to keep someone.